Hey, what's up? You're currently tuned into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 Santa Barbara. Today, Light Talk and I are joined by Mathew Troy of 90s band Trackstar.
Hmm.
How's it going, Matthew? Nice to have you on.
Good. Thanks for having me here. Sorry, it's not sorry, it's just me, but um my other guys just conflict of timing and stuff, but I'm glad that we're doing it now. So
Yeah, it'll be fun. I know you were saying, I think it was Wyatt lives in Europe somewhere.
in Sweden, yeah,
Wow.
has been there for a while. So yeah, time zone stuff and super busy and whatnot. And Brian is in Los Angeles, and he's got a bar that he runs, his bar, and so he was working, and then World Series was happening, a lot going
Oh,
on. So
oh yeah, I feel like you have to be working at the bar when the World Series are happening
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Brian and Wyatt both are big baseball fans as well. So
Are they rooting against each other right now? It's a contentious game. It's even hard on us.
yeah, I mean, go Jays because
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, who no one, a few people like the Dodgers. I don't know. It's like love, love, hate.
It's a
I
love
grew up.
game.
Yeah, I grew up as like a Pirates fan from just like the '70s and whatnot. So just they were that's when they were good, way back when. But and yeah, yeah. Wyatt a diehard Giants fan and Brian diehard Yankees fan.
Oh,
So
Oh, interesting.
oh,
yeah, bit of a mixed bag there. So, but Brian said go Jays, even though he hates the Jays. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's cool to at least have you here. Really stoked. I guess before we get started, how long, I guess Trackstar hasn't played since like the 2000s. Like, what have you been up to since then?
yeah, it's a lot of
what
time to
happened?
co- a lot of time to cover. Well, we played. I don't know when we played a benefit show. The last time we played was 2014. It was a benefit show,
Really? That's
and
sick.
then we played. And there's some. I think there's. We were talking a little bit earlier too about um, recordings or things online, interviews and video and whatnot, and talking about how like everything's so instant now, right? You play a show and like someone's already tagged you before you know, you've gotten home or whatever. You could see your performance, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
There's some video of that somewhere. And then we had done, we kind of stopped playing kind of 2004. Or so. Wyatt had moved to Sweden. Everyone just started kind of just doing other stuff. Um, but we did do it's 2008 or 2009. We had done like a couple of reunion shows, which was pretty fun. Having the experience, I'll say this, of playing for and all of us having been in bands for years prior and whatnot, having done Trackstar from 94 for 11, 12 years, and then having even a small break and then coming back to it was like a great experience. Like I think sometimes you don't know what a break will do for you.
Mhm.
um and uh yeah, and so it's been, obviously a big break since 2014. But yeah, it's nice to, I don't know. I think it's awesome that bands keep plugging along. There's so many great bands that keep plugging along and stuff and still enjoying it and still like it's great. But yeah, so many people just, you kind of run its course and people want to do other stuff.
Yeah.
So please reel me in at any point. But what I do want to say is that I feel like right now there's such a resurgence of bands getting back together. Everyone's hitting
Yep.
this like 30-year mark, 25 or
Yeah, for
30-year
sure.
mark of,
Hmm.
of albums, reunion shows. 10 years ago, I don't, no one, maybe not as interested, right?
And
Maybe,
I mean, it's interesting you bring that up because it was something that was like happening, but it didn't feel like it had spread to American 90s indie rock or anything that would have been on that kind of like circuit per se. Like
sure,
with like the Numero Festival that was in Los Angeles.
right.
Yeah.
It was I think that was like a real big point of like, well, we brought all these bands back together. we're doing this now, and I have a friend down in Chile who like just saw coding as a result of all that
Right.
stuff. So for him, that's like still really cool, and that's I think it's crazy that that's happened to an extent, but also it's interesting like to see it because sometimes I guess I'm looking at it like again from some of those bands. If like the lyrics grow, if something that's kind of rooted there has sprouted up and grown, and if the emotion doesn't feel like it's just locked into like the 90s. I've been
Right.
curious to see that with like Stereolab set lists, um, like
Sure.
Karate, like when I saw Karate in San Diego, I thought a lot of the songs had aged super well. I was really impressed with the lyricism. It felt like
Yeah.
you guys had aged with it. So something like that
Yeah.
is to me. But yeah, it's odd to feel it. It's kind of eerie.
It's pretty wild. I just saw that like Nuzzle is playing again too, which is like pretty crazy. That's like a band that I feel like I would have never thought would play again.
Oh man.
Yeah, I I talked to Simon recently too. I'm going. Get your take. Get your tickets. I'm going. But we yeah, there's yeah, Nuzzle so underrated. Such sweet dudes, great band. Like really underrated. I feel I've had a few people over this last year be like, you know, say like, "Oh man, I slept on Nuzzle. Like I can't believe like what is this band?" You know, and it's cool, right? Everyone's got those bands or friends bands or whatever, you know. So
Hmm.
those guys, so yeah, so great musicians and stuff like that. And yeah, they're a perfect example of like the reissue happening and some shows and um, yeah, talking with those guys, I think that they'll do more shows too. There's that show on the 6th, I think, of December.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
With like
and
100 Bliss and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, so super cool. And like that's, also shout out to Scenic Vermont. They just had a reissue, Suicide Squeeze had reissued some music by them. They were kind of a short-lived band from the Bay Area, made up of a bunch of great friends and whatnot. It's easy to say, oh, friends from the 90s, but
Yeah.
it was. I mean, it was just right. It's just like everyone's playing music and stuff. And it is great to see um, people getting, yeah, recognition isn't the right word, but just like yeah, some attention and some love, you know.
Mhm.
And so now's the time. There's everybody. I have lots of friends who are like thinking about, oh, maybe we should get back together to play
Yeah,
some
right.
shows, you
Yeah.
know. So,
Um, yeah, I was also gonna ask like what do you do for like work and stuff like post track star? Are you like career mode and stuff?
yeah, no, like I had after Trackstar, or kind of towards the end, I'd started another band called Calling All Monsters. Um,
Mm,
and we played like I don't know, maybe 2004 through 2008 or 9. And
yeah.
then I got into horse racing actually. I owned a business for a long time. I owned a video store in San Francisco, a coffee shop video
Oh, that's
store
sick.
Oh,
in San Francisco for I don't know, like 99 to 2014. But I got into horse racing and then eventually became a trainer. And recently I've moved away from training and now I work with horse aftercare for horses, after they're done racing to go on for rehoming and careers or whatnot. So, uh,
That's
yeah,
pretty
so I,
cool. How'd you get into horses?
yeah, I just went to the track one time with some friends and then just
Yeah.
kind of just got into it,
oh,
pretty random, but yeah, and then I fell in love with it and followed it, and then I was still doing some music and had my shop, and then I just wanted to get much like how I started playing music is just I wanted to get my hands on experience and get involved.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
yeah,
cool.
and then before you know it, I was like owning horses and training horses and breeding and like all this. Yeah, yeah. So it's been it's been a lot when uh, especially people from high school, they're like, you were the opposite of like horses in high school. I was like, I know, so you never know. Like it's funny, like if you just follow something, so
Yeah.
um yeah, so that's what yeah, I'm in Berkeley right now and yeah, working with racehorses.
Sick, dude. That's Go ahead, Maddie. What were you gonna say?
So I'm just wondering, because out there, where is like the racetrack in sort of the Bay Area, or where are some of the horses that you're working with? Where are they coming from?
Yeah, so the tracks have all closed up here. Sorry for the negative segment of the show, but the tracks have all kind of recently closed up here. So Northern California racing is no longer currently. So there's at Santa Anita, Del Mar gonna have start soon, Los Alamitos. So the racing is in Southern California. So
Mm,
um, yeah, I was training and racing up here, but just recently have shifted into the aftercare part of the horses, through the track at Santa Anita. So,
yeah,
um,
interesting.
yeah, no, it's great. I miss training, but it's a great opportunity, and I kind of always saw myself kind of moving on to something like that where I can like help out and rehorm the horses and still be involved. And yeah. So horses, I know everyone's like, what? It's crazy. I love it. I love it. So
Are you still playing music at all?
I, yes, I stopped. Sometimes I appreciate the time. Sometimes it's funny just talking about me a lot, but yeah, I stopped playing. I kind of switched, took a break. I think
Hmm.
2008 got more into horses. Had a baby,
Yeah. Hmm.
and just yeah, just stuff was happening, and from having been in bands for like just a long time, like a lot of just wanted a break. You don't know how you're going to feel or what's going to happen, so uh, I just recently, a couple years ago, year and a half ago, kind of got inspired to get back in and start playing. During COVID, I feel like everyone's like, I'm gonna write an album or play music,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it didn't happen. I think we were all waiting to like, you know, see what was gonna happen, with COVID and everything. So I didn't really, yeah, nothing happened then. I had the best intentions there, but yeah, I'm working. I've like a new project, if I can say that. I don't have a band name yet. Um, but yeah, I'm looking to just reconnect, with friends and bands and whatnot. And so playing with some friends and yeah, hopefully, get something going, get some recordings and get some shows going soon, probably in the new year. So
that's exciting, dude. That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to hearing what your new band is.
yeah, I
Mm.
appreciate that. It's funny, like not to sound hyperbolic, but from like not playing for like 15 years, really, I
Yeah.
think I picked up
Hmm.
my guitar once or whatever. Like you never know, right? Especially when you're younger, you're like, whatever, 20, and you're like, oh, 30 years from now like from then is such a long time,
Yeah.
and
For
then
sure.
guess what, here it is, and so it's amazing. I'm so happy that so many bands and friends are like still playing music or reuniting, and like just the time is, and that's kind of one of the things that inspired me was that other people getting back together and playing, and I wanted to stay connected. I think connection is my currency. I feel like personally is, yeah, to connect to, you know, uh, when you stop playing music in bands and touring and whatnot, like, there's just a segment of friends and acquaintances that you just aren't going to see. You don't travel through their city,
Hmm.
whatnot, or whatever. And the social media is great to stay in contact with. But I've been really looking forward, like, for more of a, like a physical, like, interaction, right? And wanting to play live and whatnot and connect and yeah, just be a small band and open up for friends bands and hang out, so
Yeah, and there's definitely a really cool scene up in the Bay right now too. You could play some shows like, have you heard of like Dandy Boy Records and stuff like out in like Oakland? Like they're really
Paisley
sick.
shirt
what's that, Maddie?
or a Paisley shirt.
Yeah, Paisley Shirt Records too.
Yeah, it's funny. There's also like seems like there's more places to play now than there was 10
Oh,
years ago. Like,
Oh,
you
really?
know, yeah, it's great. Like there's so many my friend Brian, his band Lost Objects. Shout out to Lost Objects, who will be in SoCal next week playing some
Oh,
shows.
sick.
But and yeah, Brian, good guy, such a good band, and uh, yeah, it's great. It's so fun. It's like I don't know if you're like, okay, so go dormant for a decade, and then wake up and be like, let's connect again. Like it just it feels like that a little bit. But yeah, everyone is. I feel like bands are striking. Right now they're just like, let's do it. Let's get back together. And I'll say this, like, if not now, when? Do you know what I mean? Like 10 years from now, five. So,
Yeah, might as
I
well,
think,
you know?
yeah. So, and I like seeing, uh, yeah, just people like happy and connecting, and people want to hear music and connect. And Maddie, like you were saying too, going back to like connecting to the 90s, but can you connect now or whatever? Like, there's definitely, um, what's the word when you're sentimental about nostalgia, right?
Oh yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and definitely people miss aspects of the 90s, right? Maybe it was
Hmm.
easier, we were younger, yada yada. Um, and so like anything, if music, this is going to sound cheesy, bear with me, but if it transports you back to a time that was easier or fun or whatever, like I'm all for it. I don't think anyone should be gatekeeping, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Music or anything. So
All right.
I was gonna ask too, just real quick before we start talking about, I guess, just some older stuff. But does I know Brian still plays with like lowercase and whatnot, but he always has been playing music. Like he played with like Yeah Yeah Yeahs too, I believe, or something.
I'm
Or who
not
was it?
sure. Yeah,
Or
yeah,
who
I
was
don't know.
it? Who I don't know. Who did he play with? I know he's playing with other people, but
I feel like I should text Brian right now. Like, when did you play with the Yeah Yeah Yeahs? No, Brian has always been also drums. Also, Brian plays guitar and whatnot.
Hmm.
Also, I don't know what the whatnot part would be, but as drummers, I feel like everyone needs a drummer, right? Drummers are always
Yeah.
in multiple bands, it
yeah,
seems. And so, yeah, Brian's such a professional, dude and cool guy, and yeah, it played with a lot of friends, fill in and do a lot of stuff, but. Brian, lowercase, also amazing band. Him and Ahmad and Tiber. Those guys had a resurgence, a revival, if you will.
they've been getting kind of yeah, they've been getting traction. I feel like for a little while now.
Yeah, totally.
They got that cult traction.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, the shows with like Unwound and whatnot. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's been yeah. And then yeah, I talked to Brian before here, and yeah, him and Ahmad, they're like working on new music, which is awesome. So
Yeah, it's
expect
sick.
shout out the new lowercase music in the future, which is awesome. So
Do you know if Wyatt still plays music up in like Sweden or
he
anything?
Wyatt does do Wyatt got more into recording and has
Oh,
done some recording projects over the years, and uh yeah, still plays a bit here and there. I think
That's
that
sick.
yeah, so I know when people are like, you know, asking like, oh, what about getting together, for some shows or whatever, which yeah, I'd be up for, I don't think, yeah, just some logistics. Everyone's got logistics, even if you live in the
totally.
same town, it seems hard to get together sometimes.
Yeah,
So
cool. Well, I guess we can talk some about like the older stuff now that I guess we're caught up on the
sure.
current. But I guess I kind of just want to talk about like your guys' like intro to like DIY and like what the Bay Area scene was like in the 90s, like how you guys started getting involved in like DIY and music and stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Wyatt and I grew up. Maddie, I saw there was a San Jose State logo early on.
Oh,
Is that
yeah, that's funny because I got my MLIS from San Jose. I mean, we're UCSB, but yes, I did go to San Jose State online.
gotcha?
And
Okay,
the
yeah,
Zoom is through San Jose State.
got,
Yeah,
gotcha. So yeah, so we're yeah, Wyatt and I are from like the South Bay, like Wyatt
Nice.
from like the Morgan Hill, and I'm from Hollister. Shout out to
sick.
Hollister. And yeah, growing up in small towns and whatnot, and
Yeah,
I had a band. My first band was called Blah Blah Blah, and it's two of
That's
us.
such a good name.
Yeah, at the time, like we used to say that a lot. Anyway, so that drum machine, kind of like a, I don't know, maybe like a, like MIDI was like a big like started, for recording and whatnot. So we were kind of I don't know, like a drum, like a big black
Yeah.
ministry kind of,
Uh,
loud,
Were
distortion
you
on
listening to
drums.
like industrial stuff that was like on wax tracks at that time, or
Oh yeah,
kind of like street sounds of electro?
100%, 100%. That was our like bread and butter. Also, I mean, other stuff too, like Smiths, Oingo Boingo,
Mhm.
Cure, like XTC, like Gang of Four, like also other stuff too. But that was like so fresh. Whether it be, I don't know. Shout out to Matt Fruits. What's up, homie? The Skinny Puppy, Nice
Yeah.
De Warzau, Ministry, of course,
Yeah,
and
we got the D Wars out tape right over here. I'm looking
yo,
at my
you're kidding
industrial. Yeah.
me. This is crazy. That album
Yeah.
is so good.
See if you can get
That
a
is so
look at that.
crazy.
Yeah. That was
So,
something I worked out probably back in 21, but if slowly I occasionally go back.
De Warzau. Oh my God, yeah,
Yeah.
the album
This
is
is a
so
great
good.
one. This one doesn't get a lot of discussion though. So shout out to D Wars out.
Yeah, no, I can't believe I dropped that. I mean, you have the cassette. That's what I'm talking about, connection right there. So wanting to get into that and whatnot. And so Wyatt was playing in a bunch of other, just bands, local bands and stuff like that. And so he moved to San Francisco. I moved shortly after. And then I don't want to tell Wyatt's story or anything, but yeah, we, discovered like Beat Happening and like other kind
Okay.
of like, kind of just kind of the opposite of like maybe like louder metal ska, like a lot of growing up in the South Bay in the early 90s, a lot of funk bands, right? Everybody
mhm,
is a funk
mhm.
band. I'm not knocking funk bands, but it was just like everybody. And I'm knocking funk bands a little bit, I guess I am. So anyway, yeah, we got together and we're like, let's play guitars and then just work on some songs. And yeah, I found someone to play drums. Our first drummer, Nate. Shout out to Nate Ackerman. Uh, we yeah, we played a couple of shows with Nate, and then Nate left. This is '94, and
Oh,
then our friend Todd Sullivan, he filled in for a tour. We had booked a small tour to the Northwest. It seemed hard to get shows in San Francisco, but the Northwest seemed to be, we'd call X-Ray Cafe in Portland. I'm trying to think of another place. We ended up playing Capitol Theater in Olympia. And
wow.
again, not to sound like it's, this is '94 and like you're just making phone calls, right? And
Yeah,
so people were like, "Yeah, come on up. You're from San Francisco, cool. What are you called? Great, you can play the show." And it was amazing, to be
yeah,
like, "Oh, this is so easy," and everyone's so it was yeah it was amazing. It's like exactly what you wanted to be happening, so and yeah, Todd stayed on after the tour, and then yeah, we just got momentum and started playing shows, recording. uh there's a lot of, early on, I feel like there's a lot of bands that were playing late '80s, early '90s,
mhm,
Friends, Teenage 13, a lot of like bands like Mission, the kind of noise bands and whatnot, avant-garde, louder bands, just everyone just really like artsy bands, whatnot. That's what I remember a lot of the scene was, um, around that time. You also had like Steel Pole Bathtub. I'm trying to think of Frightwig. I'm trying to drop names like Bakamono. I'm trying to think of some other bands early on. um, yeah, and so we were kids, 21, 22.
Yeah.
And it just seemed everybody was like enthusiastic, right? Living in the big city from a
yeah,
small town, playing shows. And for us, it was just a matter of just like, yeah, we were willing to like pick up and go wherever, I think a lot of times bands just stay local or want to like, I don't know. We were like, we pick up and rent a car. We never owned a van ever.
What?
In all those years, we would rent and yeah, just drive wherever, play like, you know, put ourselves out there, for sure.
That's sick. So I know you were saying you started off as like just with drum machine. When did you add like Brian?
Yeah, so drummers, yeah, we had played a show under a different name just once, Wyatt and I, and then yeah, we added a drummer. That was always the idea.
Okay, sick.
Um, yeah, and so our first drummer was Nate Ackerman.
Mm.
Um, and there's like one recording that I'm trying to like get the files for that we did with Nate, and then Todd joined the band. So Todd, the 10-inch that we put out on Silver Girl Records, shout out Keith, what
Mhm.
up? We put out in 95. Help God if I mess up the dates. Sounds so terrible. And then through Communication Breaks on Die Young Stay Pretty, Sub Pop in 97,
Mhm.
98, I think that was released. And Todd was with us through 99, I think. And then Brian joined the band.
Sick. Cool.
So bit of a hiatus because we didn't record the last record. We started to record in 99 and then scrapped it and kind of started over and kind of yeah, we had it. There's a bit of a yeah, I don't know, like a 99 through two yeah, a couple years where we just weren't that active. And Brian
Mhm.
joined the band and just kind of regrouped a little bit. Yeah, so
So, oh, sorry, I was gonna ask about
yeah.
your first 7-inch called No Big Deal. Was that kind of like this the first thing you guys put out?
Yeah, and also too, we put it out. The Kickdown Records is us. We just self-released it. So the
Sick.
Push It, no big deal. Yeah, that was the first. Yeah, we just put it out ourselves. Because that's what I don't know. That's just what you did or do.
I mean, I feel
Um,
like it's easier to do that, you know?
yeah,
Um,
totally. It is nice. I'll say this to like have um and there's more labels now and whatnot and people being helpful and stuff. It is nice to, I think, work with somebody who already has some like stuff lined up and has,
yeah, for sure.
just some support. Like I don't think that you have to do like everything yourself, but this I don't God man, I don't want to sound so old here, but you record in a 4 track, you put out your own stuff, you figure it out. And it's so funny because you just make phone calls. There wasn't the you just like you figure it out. You get ads in newspapers. You figure out where to, you know, press your record or do whatever. Like,
Hmm.
things are so much easier now and technology is so much better, but you still did it. Whatever tools you had at the time, you would still like get it done,
Were
so
there specific like zines or record shops that you knew or had relationships with when you were going out like, hey, we got to promote our record or like, hey, can you guys write something for us on this?
yeah, there wasn't, I mean, we uh going back to my first band, if I can, little indulgent, but small town, and we put out again, like a 4 song 7-inch and stuff. And I
Hmm.
was really, living as the maximum rock and roll was such a
Oh
like a,
yeah.
like a, oh my God. And then Flip Side, which is Los Angeles. So maximum rock and roll in the north, and then Flip Side. Uh, and we both got favorable reviews. And I felt like,
Sick.
what was I like, I don't know, 19 or 20. I was like a kid. I was like, oh my God, like they didn't, they weren't like, quit playing, or whatever. And I felt really, yeah, that was great. So from my first band, really living in a small town and trying to like get bigger, like not huge, but just like you just want to like reach out, you just want to connect with things that are a little bit bigger than you.
Yeah.
And,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, like plenty of like awesome record stores in San Francisco, and obviously San Francisco, like a big, you know, city for creativity and music and whatnot. Um, and uh, yeah, I think that we just kept going. Like people like the energy, the momentum. Like we would practice all the time and play and go see shows and music constantly, right? Work some jobs or do whatever. and
Yeah.
love music and just keep going, right? You're 22, 23, and like that's what you're doing. And other people are doing that. And you're meeting new people and connections. And, we never turn down shows. People are like play or like come travel or do whatever. And so that was I feel like success, a big thing for us is we would just pick up and go play, and I would definitely like if people are like, what advice? Not unsolicited, but like, yeah, pick up and go play. Like, don't get out of town, for sure.
Hmm.
I feel like traveling and touring outside of the experience and meeting people and connections, you know, uh, really, I think helps bands, just, get
That's how
out
you
there.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, I wanted to just ask like how your 7 inch, how you guys were able to get distribution for your 7 inch, or like if you did it all yourself and stuff. Just because like I was reading your reissue, like the sometimes what's the difference, like the redo or whatever. I was reading like the
Yeah,
liner notes that like Keith wrote for it, and he was saying that like it was interesting because he also mentioned that he was a DJ at KCSB on there, which I thought was kind of cool.
totally.
Um,
Yeah, do you know Keith York?
no, but I want to get him on the show too, actually, at some
Yeah,
point. But
Keith also too. I mean, I know we all love music, but Keith loves music so much he started a label. So much that you guys have this show, right? Like everybody
yeah.
puts their money where their mouth is, kind of thing. And Keith is such a source of knowledge and love. It's like the perfect combination of like all of that stuff. So yeah, yeah, I'm sure, yeah, uh,
Dang.
would love it. Um, yeah, I think that I don't know, like you had to go hunt and peck and discover, or show up at a friend's house and flip through their
Mhm.
records. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
again, I please don't make me sound like a grandpa here, but like, like it was like, that's what people did. Like it's easy. For example, someone's like, "Oh, check out this new band called whatever, Hotel Mileage." Just well, I'm making up Hotel Mileage, and you're like, "Cool." You can within a minute, you can look up their videos or songs. You can hear what they are, right? So long ago that it's more mysterious. Okay, hotel mileage, cool. Let me, you look in the weekly newspaper, and then oh my God, they're playing a show, and you're like, we gotta go see them, right? Like the tension, the like anticipation for that is like, I don't know, so different now.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. That is really interesting.
you
Were
know,
there any bands, especially like for you, where that experience happened and they lived up, they like surpassed that, or it was like the worst thing ever? Any that you recall years later?
the worst thing ever. No, I do remember in San Francisco there was South of Market, a club called Covered Wagon. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna mess up the Folsom and Fifth maybe, and they'd have free shows on Tuesdays, right? And
Mhm.
so I remember Wyatt and I would like just go walk, and you'd walk in, and we just saw, I can't name everybody, but like just bands coming through that I don't know, like I don't know, like Truman's Water, Lubricated Goat. I'm trying to think of band Morning Champ. I'm trying to like think of bands like that were that would come through, and you would just show up and be like, oh my God, and like
Like that was
almost
sick. Yeah.
yeah, anybody you saw, you're like, oh my God, this is so amazing because it's so new, and there's so much music out now. It's great, but I feel like to discover, and having limited resources or whatever felt so much more like powerful. They became like your music, your bands, again, not gatekeeping, but you're like, hey, I saw this band, they're awesome. And even, bands that maybe like you weren't into their style or whatever, but you were just like, they're like so amazing or whatever. And,
Hmm.
like you could be more open to different genres and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
Totally.
But I do want to hear more about sometimes what's the difference, just because that's been like, I guess one of my like favorite records for a long time. Like I always just like come back to it. And like I went to go visit Maddie last year. Maddie lives in San Diego. So like last December I went to visit Maddie, and I had this like I guess little mission in mind. Like when we hit a bunch of record stores, I'm specifically gonna look for like Silver Girl releases. And so I'm like asking the people at the counter, like, do you guys happen to know if you have any like old Silver Girl 7 inches or anything? And we went into this one, and they're like, oh, we know that guy. Like he just dropped off a bunch of records and I went and found your guys' like reissue and I was like so sick. That's like what I was looking
Oh,
for.
cool. Yeah,
Um,
that was yeah. Also, yeah, the catalog for Silver Girl totally underrated. Like Poem Rocket, I bet they're like touring again and playing. Like it's so great. Like it's yeah, this resurgence. Of it's inspiring. It's motivating to see like peers and friends like still like I love music, god damn it, and like like we're
yeah,
gonna do it or whatever. Um, but yeah, Keith had definitely a well of knowledge and love and all of that. Doing the Redux, we had started it pre-COVID, where in vinyl we were just going to do a CD only, like compile everything. And then I don't know what happened. It just kind of fell apart, or just I don't know. We lost interest, or I don't know what happened. And
yeah,
then COVID, and then the resurgence of vinyl, which is amazing. Who would have thought? And so yeah, it was such a fun project to work on and compile everything and get the recordings. And yeah, to get everything, Keith was like, let's do it. Like, let's make it like a coffee table book. You know what I mean? Like, let's
yeah,
do
for
like the
sure.
vinyl, like do the gatefold and everything. And so like, yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it was so great. And so yeah, when I see friends like reissuing it again, like it feels good. You can hold it, like it's good, and yeah, it has the fidelity also too. So I played the original, say 10-inch next to
Yeah,
it or whatever, and so technology, the remastering or whatever, definitely improved. Like I don't know, 60, 70%. Like it's just you know better sounding. So um, yeah, that was so fun. I wish we had. There are some other recordings and versions of songs that are sitting somewhere um, that hopefully we'll get to in some capacity.
eventually resurface. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Because again, if not now, when? You know.
Hmm.
So and yeah, it's fun. I would want you know to hear unreleased tracks or random stuff. So uh,
Yeah.
of bands.
I know. I thought that's why this reissue is pretty cool because you guys also put out like versions of songs that were only released on like tour tapes and stuff too, which is like pretty cool.
Yeah, totally. Our kind of sister band Reisler from Olympia, who I think, yeah, our fourth show ever we played at the Capitol Theater
Yeah.
uh, with them and kind of just befriended them and did a bunch of shows and did like an East Coast tour with them and yeah, put that cassette out. Yeah, fun, just super cool stuff. Like, you know, you did what you did. You had a 4-track and cassettes, and that's like what you did. And yeah, it was so great to like have all that stuff kind of in one place. So I would say, yeah, I would say that like 98, 96% of everything is like there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cool.
it was
Yeah,
great.
I also had found the 10-inch like a month or two later at like a record store in LA. Which is pretty fun. I'd never seen like the actual like OG version of it too.
That's
So
cool. Yeah, that's pretty. Hey, let me ask you, friends, what are some bands that you are excited to see get back together, or some bands that you wish would get back together?
Trackstar.
Yeah, okay.
Um, I don't know. I don't know, maybe something like Still Life or like Evergreen or something like that. I feel like they're getting new Chord right now, so I could see it happening,
mean,
but like,
the one I'm probably happiest to see recently that comes to mind, or at least the two, it's like, well, Fly Pan Am got back together, but
oh,
that
that's sick, yeah.
the Softies I thought had a very, very excellent reunion last year, but Rose Melberg never stopped. I've got what is it, the like little Rose Melberg tape that's Antiquated Futures put out. She never
Yeah.
stopped doing great music, but I thought the Softies reunion was excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shout out to Rose and Jen. What up? Yeah, there's a funny, I saw them down south when they played. It was like a year ago, not like a year ago, almost like today, maybe the 28th. I'm trying to think of uh but they yeah, there was a point I'm just telling stories, sorry,
No,
that
it's all
there
good.
I reached out to Jen. It had been a million years. Um and I was like, hey, I saw that they're like, had the new album coming out. They're doing these Cali dates. I was like, let me, it's just two of them. Hi, Jen. And yeah, I was like, let me tour manage. Like, let me, let me drive you guys on the Cali. And she was like, no, 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 we got it, or whatever. She's like, but come to the shows. And so, yeah, so I saw her at one of the shows. Yeah, just to kind of reconnect or whatever. There's a pretty, and it's fun because you do stuff and then decades go by and then you have the flyer for it, you know. And
Yeah.
so there's a pretty fun show that we had played at here. Oh, shout out to George Chen. Maybe George put it on.
Oh, from
And
Zoom.
yeah, from maybe at the Berkeley, the UC, there was like a hall. I'm trying to think what is the but it was Sky Park, us, Trackstar, Softies, Elliott Smith. I'm trying to
That's
think the name
insane.
of the yeah, this 95, 96 maybe. So yeah, like, such a fun. I felt because everyone else, I don't know, we were like the, I don't know, louder band on the bill, but yeah, such a fun like show. George always putting together like super awesome shows and whatnot. And Yvonne, shout out to Yvonne, what up? Um, and yeah, cool. It's so funny because you play at the time, like this is what happens. You play and you're like, okay, cool, this band or whatever. And then years go by and you're like, oh my God, like looking back, like, yeah, it was cool to be part of that.
With sometimes what's the difference? Because I know you mentioned the East Coast tour, but like with that album, I'm assuming you were sending that out to different stations or kind of all over. Where was do you think like as far as that album took you to? I don't know whether that's internationally or on the East Coast or
Yeah, I'm
down
curious
south.
about that as well. Did that album kind of like put you guys like on the map in terms of like people hitting you up to like tour in like other states and stuff?
No, we had I think that 10-inch Keith put out, Keith and Paul at Silver Girl had put out maybe in like 90. Oh my God, I'm just gonna say 95.
Yeah, that sounds
Um,
right. That's what it says on Discogs.
yeah, so then Discogs is correct. And then yeah, I think that yeah, had I don't know, definitely the warm feel, four track recorded on four track at a movie theater and done, we packed a lot in, on those, using the four track and recording and whatever. That's the tools, technology we had at the time. And yeah, it was cool. I don't know, we pressed 300, 400, like a small run, and for us, I'll say this, I think it's because we got out and played shows. We would go to the Northwest, every 3 or 4 months. We'd go down
Yeah.
south every 3 or 4 months for like for years and years and years and years. That was really the main thing versus shows and whatnot. And then, mind you, like you put something out, like not to be like this is pre-internet, but nobody is gonna like, email, email. We had a PO box. You know what I mean? People
Yeah.
would write letters and stuff, which is awesome. And nobody would email you, right? You book tours with the phone. Your phone bill would be crazy, So, uh, it's a lot easier and simpler now, for all of that. But yeah, just for me, touring, I think just traveling and playing shows, touring, that's what I
Kind of how
think.
you got your name out there. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I think, yeah, that's what it is. Because if a band comes through town every like 3 to 6 months, right, you're gonna notice, So
Yeah.
I think I think there's so many great bands and players who are just like at home or playing, or they maybe post stuff on the internet and they're like, oh, great, or whatever. But I was like, I think you just got to get out there. You got to land in someone's city, you know what I mean? And be like, and play,
And play with sick bands, and yeah, I feel like it's still true nowadays. You know what I mean? At least in the DIY circuit and stuff. That's sick. And then so I guess like after sometimes what's the difference? You release like a couple more records, Communication Break, and Also a bunch of 7 inches, which is what me and Maddie thought was really cool. That you guys were like really locked in on like putting out 7 inches and stuff.
Yeah, we had done David, what up? David at Suicide Squeeze, shout out. We yeah, David had put out a 7 inch of ours, like a 98.
Hmm.
Um we had
How did that happen? How'd you like get in touch with Suicide Squeeze? Just playing
yeah,
shows again?
yeah, just playing shows and stuff. And David was friendly with our pals in scenic Vermont,
Nice.
and they had done stuff early on. Yeah, I think all that stuff is like early releases for the Suicide Squeeze label and stuff. And yeah, David also too the same too, like just loves music, such a good guy, passionate,
Yeah.
um, and just yeah, just does it like just like let's do it,
Hmm.
and um yeah, so that was always cool. Like people, yeah, wanting to put out music in a 7 inch, and 7 inch, that format. I still think it's a cool format, but at the time was able to kind of like,
Was it like
you
most
know,
accessible in terms of like financials and stuff?
yeah, just get a little something out. Now I think
Mhm.
that people, right, can release like make like a video, release something online or whatever. They don't have to, make
Mhm.
like an Instagram reel or something like it's so it's different,
Yeah.
for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, we just and then our friend, shout out to Meg Watjen, who basically worked at Sub Pop, put on shows at the Velvet Elvis, the all ages theater in Seattle. Such a
Oh,
Sick.
great lover of music and advocate for bands and whatnot. She yeah, basically got us, to put the record out on Sub Pop on the Die Young Stay Pretty offshoot, Communication Breaks. And
Sick.
so yeah, so there was a couple years between. Yeah, we were traveling and we'd done a couple tours between there and stuff. But yeah, we would like travel a lot and then like record. Like we would. I don't feel like we would like put out a record and then tour tour on it.
Yeah.
We would put out a record, do something, then tour later, and so kind of a mishmash of things. So that came out and we recorded 97. That record came out 98. Uh, and we toured on that with our friends.
That's
P
cool.
P.
So Die Young Stay Pretty, sorry, Die Young Stay Pretty was a Sub Pop offshoot, you were saying?
Yeah, yeah. So just a few releases on the, I guess, just to tell the story. So Sub Pop at that time was getting kind of bigger, right?
Yeah.
They were they're branching out for a different. Um, Shout out to Jonathan. What up? The um, bands and whatnot. They had like soul singers and jazz, and they're doing a bunch of stuff. And they had a lot of, yeah, they got like bigger. And I think the idea was to kind of uh, do like a more of a DIY, smaller kind of release or whatever. So we had like a smaller budget, and they were like, yeah, it just was going to be more like low expectations. I don't know from it, like, and just get the record out, but
That's
use the
crazy.
resources
Yeah,
that
that's it.
Sub Pop had. So the Murder City Devils, I think, were their first release, and I think in some ways, I think they maybe just started the label, to put out the release and then put us out, and then I
Yeah.
think that was it, and then I think that was it. So
Yeah, that's cool. I also see that like Afghan Wigs was on there too, which is like kind of crazy.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, the Wigs, one of my favorite bands for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, no, like they had done so much on Sub Pop, like all their great, such a great.
yeah.
Also, I feel like underrated band. Like I just there's so much. Greg Dully is great. Yeah, the whole band is super great.
And then after that, you did, well, a few years later, around 2002 or something, you did Lions Destroyed the Whole World. And that one was a
Yeah,
little different, I feel like. It sounded a little more polished than the other stuff, I feel like, when I listened to it.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the sequence of having been the 10 inch. Sometimes, what's the difference? It's recorded in 4 track. We recorded uh, Communication Breaks 8 track, and then we went to 16 track for Lion. For our friend Kurt Schlegel. Shout out to Kurt at Lucky Cat. studios. We Yeah, so it's gonna sound as a we record on 2-inch tape, so wasn't the little quarter inch, so there's more separation in sound. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cleaned up for sure. I think there's a thing as you get older, maybe the distortion gets like pulled back a little bit and stuff, and maybe the songwriting and stuff. But yeah, and it kind of a bit of a gap between 5 years, maybe. Yeah,
Wow.
so a bit of a gap,
Yeah,
between.
why was there such a gap with that one?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's it.
We're
That's a
coming
good
at you
question.
right now. We're laying
Yeah,
Yeah.
down the
Yeah,
evidence.
why? Tell
that's a
us.
good. Yeah, that's a
No, I
that's
mean, it looks like you guys did like 7 inches in between then too, so it wasn't like you didn't put out anything.
yeah, totally. I think that there was some. Yeah, just we'd been, being a band and doing stuff for. Yeah, there was. I don't know. We had done a tour. We went out cold, I think, right after 9/11, like 2001 or something. Like Brian was in the band. There's some transition between Todd,
Oh,
drums,
I
and
see.
too. So, and kind of, we had started to record Lion in 99. So we started to record like, or 2000, we had like a version of that album roughly. And then we scrapped it, and then just kind of like rewrote some songs and worked with Brian, and then just, so that that took a little bit of time. And then yeah, we've gone on this tour, and like we're still playing shows and whatnot. So
So I had read on your Instagram you had an interesting story about the lion destroyed the whole world, the name behind it.
yeah, a friend of ours had uh yeah, and I messaged them recently about it. I think maybe, or no, when I made the post, we were talking about it. The Yeah, titles for, yeah, just, sometimes a story behind names or whatever. But uh yeah, a friend of ours was collecting stuff off the street and whatnot, had to find, there's a binder of, it was a kid's binder who had written like a story,
Oh,
and was discarded or lost in the trial, whatever. And anyway, the title was uh, "Lion Destroyed the Whole World." And so I'm trying to think, maybe the kid was, I'm gonna guess, like based on the writing and the style of paper. I remember it being like not like it like being that more of a tan, thicker, like bamboo. I was trying to think, like when you're younger. So imagine like an
Yeah.
8-year-old kid had written it or whatever. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, it was a funny story. Yep, we used that from that kid's title. So hopefully the kid is listening at some point.
And he like hears like, oh, somebody found my
I
old
know,
story.
totally. That would be.
Yeah.
I would love
that's a
that
beautiful
connection.
inspiration point. That
Yeah,
really,
that's pretty sick.
seriously.
Yeah, it's cute. Um, I also wanted to talk too about like you guys toured and played for like so long. Like you were saying you had like a 12-year stretch or something like that, but you played with like some insane bands and like toured with some insane bands like Stereolab, Modest Mouse. You played with like Red Stars Theory, which is like insane. You toured with P, which is like so sick. They're like one of my favorite bands ever.
That's fun. You should get. Have you had them? Have they been on the show?
No, but I want to hit them up actually.
Yeah,
I was
you should.
actually
Yeah,
thinking about that this week, but
please. Yeah, I know that I just talked to Jim. See, this is what I'm talking about. Everything just kind of coming together. I just talked to Jim Stanley um,
Wow.
a week ago. And we've reconnected. They're planning on reuniting next year. So
that's so crazy.
putting that out there, no pressure, friends in P. But yeah, now's the time. Like if not now, when yeah, we probably for P, we
Yeah, do you
probably
want to talk about like your tour with P and just like how you've played with them and stuff? Like that's so
yeah,
sick.
yeah, we played probably the most shows we've played with them, probably like better than 10% of our shows ever, probably with P. We did that tour in 98, which is in support of Communication Breaks record.
Yeah.
And yeah, we would just play with them in town often or whatever. So yeah, great group of uh people and friends, and easy, and so great. Yeah, so I'm
Got
excited
their
for.
7 inches right here.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
Which
cool. Yeah, we would do it. There's a thing that we would do, maybe other bands, I don't know. We would do, there would be a few space we would set up. There'd be enough for both bands to set up at the same time. And we would do like a tag team where we would both set up at the same time and we would play two songs, then they would play two songs, and we would play two songs, and they play two songs.
that's
And it
kind
was,
of sick, actually.
yeah, we've done it a few times. We did it in Chico, California, and we did it, I think, Las Vegas, and then maybe one other time. So, yeah, it was fun if there was a big enough space that we could be like, okay, it's a pretty low key show, all ages or something, where
Hmm.
it was at a bar that had strict rules and stuff like that. So that
Yeah.
was that was fun. So yeah, those guys, great musicians, super cool people. I'm super excited to yeah, for those guys to play again and whatnot. So we, yeah, for playing, yeah, James, Red Stars Theory, those guys great. We, yeah, early on, yeah, I played a bunch of shows with Modest Mouse, and yeah, I think a lot of people just starting out around the same time, and you end up in bills, and are friendly with
Yeah.
people and whatnot. So and then years go by, and like yeah, some bands take off, or some bands are just still super cool, or whatever. But yeah, it seemed like definitely early on, such a like just bands playing with bands, at house shows or all ages shows, or just yeah, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any like funny stories from touring with P or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I have so many, so many, yeah, stories. I'm trying to think of, I don't know, one. I've been trying to post on the Instagram once a week, like either a story or some old photos and stuff, just scan some old photos I have. Um, just kind of stay in touch and kind of, like I said, just put it out there because, I think storytelling is important and like people, I don't know, it's good. It feels good for me, and then kind of, put it out there. We played a show. I just maybe I told this story recently, and at the in New Jersey at the no, it wasn't at the Stone Pony. Was it at the Stone Pony? No. We played, and sometimes it's two out of town bands, right, from the Bay Area,
Hmm.
right? Nobody knows us or whatever, right? We have some support or whatever, but like it's a radio play, whatever that means, right?
Yeah.
But like, but nobody knows us, right? So as a booker, like, book, like have us open, have a headliner. So they had booked Rutgers. I remember like our record did really well at the time, like whatever that means, right? Like top 10 ad, or like what
Oh.
all this funny lingo, for whatever. But
Yeah.
they're like gauges of and success or importance, or like whatever. Sound scan. I remember putting in sound scan. Yeah, just funny stuff that doesn't really matter. Didn't matter even at the time. But we had played a show, and there's a local band that had played, and uh, they were terrible, like a funk band, and like I can't.
There it
They were,
is.
yeah.
Here's the funk. Here's you coming out against the funk bands.
Yeah, the singer had like a Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat, like like a striped hat
Yeah.
he wore. And then they were. I'm not a hater, I'm just saying, but it was like, yeah, we weren't on the same page, which is fine. And then all of their partners, girlfriends were at the show, and then after they played, they left. Like, yeah, you don't need to stay or whatever, but
It's also
so
kind of rude if you leave at like a leave before the other bands play at a DIY show, you know?
yeah, but we're two bands from out of town, so nobody was there. Nobody,
Oh
right?
yeah, for
It
sure.
was like
Yeah, it's rude.
booked like a headliner band or whatever. So I remember we debated about playing or not playing, and the owner and bartender was like, kind of like had our arms folded and was like kind of upset. He's like, "Where is everybody?" And we're like, "I don't," and
We're not from here, dude.
yeah, and it was a little bit hyped too. It was like as a sign, it was like Sub Pop recording artist. Like it was kind of hyped a little bit. I was like,
Oh,
oh
yeah.
man, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, I think we ended up playing. Yeah, and it was fun. It was like him and the sound guy. Like we like debated about. I think we're gonna play Boston, so we're like, let's just drive. And then we're like, no, let's play. And so yeah, we played shorter sets, and like probably played some songs that we like hadn't played, and what just had fun with it. So the owner, bartender, and sound guy, it was just all of us, and so it ended up being kind of like funny and fun, kind of thing. So um a situation. There's plenty of times you show up and people are wiping down tables. They're like, "Oh, are you going to play? We didn't think you were going to show up." That's just part of it. To
Yeah,
playing to nobody is just
it
something.
happened.
It's just part of it. Like there's no reason to get upset about it or anything.
That's funny, dude.
So
Um,
yeah, I mean, there's just stories all the time, constantly. Seems like that's
that's awesome.
half the reason I feel like to like travel. To have some kind of stories. Ooh, another story I just wrote quick. I like Texas fine. I did, like I'm not knocking Texas, but this is in '98. We were traveling back and we were like, let's go to a steakhouse. And something had happened with like Oprah Winfrey where she was like, said something about the meat industry or cattle industry. And there was these bumper stickers, I guess, that was like, I don't know, anti Oprah, pro meat, something like that. I don't know.
Really, that's funny.
So we show up at a steakhouse. We're like, oh yeah, let's go to a classic, whatever steakhouse. And we show up, us, P and Trackstar, looking however we look, and we didn't get served.
Really?
Nobody greeted us. No one talked to us. And the reason I say that Oprah thing is, and I only know about it is because they had the bumper stickers at that place. So they were like, you know, but it was like I don't want to. I don't know what's Easy Rider a little a little bit, right? Like the freaks showing up in a small town and kind of getting run off. But it was wild, like to not know the server, the hostess, no one greeted us. They all ignored. They're like, and we left. We had to leave. So
Yeah.
that
Wow.
was like, oh man. Or yeah, getting pulled over for California plates because I don't know, that seems so exotic, right?
Yeah.
Got our van stolen in New Jersey also too one time. I say stolen, I mean like we were parked legally and had to go pay some guy $100 to get it out of the impound, quote unquote. Just California plates. People would be like, oh, you guys think you're better than us, huh? Foreigners traveling through town. Sometimes it was funny, you
That's
know.
funny, dude.
Yeah. People love California or hate California, I think. So
Especially Texas. I could see them hating California.
sure, sure. At that time, yeah, that was a funny. It was fun. We took it in stride, but it was really kind of like I'd never had that experience to like not be like people were like, we're not going to serve you without saying that. It's like,
That
okay.
is insane. Yeah, that's something that I think would just never happen. That's wild. Um, oh, I also wanted to ask about your tour with Stereolab because I feel like that's kind of relevant right now because they're touring.
Yeah, totally. I made like a little post, just kind of, it's been almost 30 years. It's so wild. Yeah,
How'd that even happen? How'd you guys even get on a tour with Stereolab? Like that's
yeah,
insane.
great question. I feel like we peaked. That was like such like the perfect week. It was all in California, easy driving, this and that. We were such a small band, so that 96. It's 96. We'd only been a band for a few years, but our friend Sherry Hood, a shout out to Sherry. Sherry, such a great person, uh, knowledgeable about music and stuff, passionate. She managed Stereolab and other bands too, Cranes, Raincoat, some other bands.
Oh, sick.
She had helped start up 4AD. Thank you for letting me like give shout out to like friends and stuff, because
No, we love it. That's part of the lore, dude. It's sick.
yeah,
And
totally.
she helped
Um,
with the 4AD, the offices in LA at the time when they kind of.
Yeah, but she had like the U.S. offices, with 4AD and stuff like that. So yeah, just a powerhouse of you know person and stuff. And and after that went on to make this incredible wine and stuff. Yeah, so Sherry's great. We've been trying to catch up lately. So she was always just so sweet to us and just helpful. Like when you like somebody in the music and you're supportive, like of and she put us on the Cali dates for Stereolab, and we were like, of course, like, what, this is crazy,
Yeah, that's insane.
yeah, it was like super wild to probably, in all honesty, like they were probably just some charting prolapse from also, and then we're just like some local band that they're opening with or whatever. But we did spend some some time with them. I'll say, so we did that, and it was super. Yeah, I feel like we peaked. I was like, no, too soon.
Yeah.
Was it interesting to see kind of, because I'm also curious about like what that, you guys were going in there for Stereolab gigs and they were on a rise getting like it, what did their fan base look like? What was it kind of like? Was it compatible with who you were seeing at your shows? Was it a different kind of listener? Does that
Yeah, I mean, I think like everyone loves Stereolab. They're that type of band that like you can't, you know what I mean? Like like everyone appreciates Stereolab. To someone you can't be like, oh, I hate Stereolab. Like nobody, like you can't. And so, um, I don't know. As far as we were a small band. Nobody knew. Yeah, just a small band. I think that some friends who love Stereolab were like, I can't believe you're playing. You
Yeah.
know, with and us, Prolapse, and Stereolab, and Stereolab, pretty, Tim, Leticia, like pretty serious, like they're, and pretty like professional band, and so I think we would try to like get into some nonsense with them, you know what I mean, over the week. Um, and I remember Letitia, she wanted a vibro slap, right? The thing that the ball and it's called a vibro slap. The instrument makes the rattle sound, the
Oh
sound
yeah,
when.
yeah.
So I remember we went to a guitar center with her to find one, and then I'd made a post recently just because they're had come through California, and so Andy, their drummer, what would not be in any of the you would see what do you got, like press releases or whatever and stuff. So it'd be Mary, uh, Letitia,
Yeah.
Tim, and then whoever was like in the band at the time. So
Mhm.
Morgan was keys also to Richard might have been in some of the promo photos, but you'd only sometimes see three people or four people, and never Andy on drums. And Andy's such a cool, like just like a mental drummer, like just he would drive with the equipment, he
Yeah.
like in the like the U-Haul or the Ryder, and he didn't want to be in the photos, he just chose not to uh be in the photos. That's what he wanted, but I'm gonna tell the story that we were played two shows. Sorry, anyway, it's facts, right? We played two shows at the Troubadour, right? There's
Yeah.
a
Hmm.
Drew Barrymore story in there somewhere too, and that we had played a couple of shows, and it's nice when you can play like. Seldom did we ever, but we had never played back to back at the same venue, so it's easy to leave your equipment. You
Yeah.
have all day in LA, like you just have so much more time to like hang out,
Yeah.
And we there was a thing in around that time where it'd be like a little guitar or something where you'd press buttons and it would make sounds like or
Like a
like an
toy
insult.
or something?
Yeah, like a toy, and it would have riffs. There'd be five buttons and it'd play different riffs, or it would be like this one was called like the Insultinator. So like you would hit it, it would like be like say insulting things or whatever, just like these gaggy novelty toys, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Hope I'm describing it correctly. We had given Andy or lent Andy ours. And
Yeah.
one night at one of the Troubadour shows, Andy on drums, again, the person who doesn't really want any attention or anything focused on him, just wants to be the engine in the band, driving on the drums and whatnot. Andy took the Insultinator and on the like floor tom mic, kind
Yeah.
of like pressed it, so
Yeah.
during 30 or 45 seconds of silence between a Stereolab song, some ridiculous voice kind of just popped out over and
Was it like intentional or was this an
yeah,
accident?
no, Andy did it on purpose to be like funny or whatever. But
Yeah.
again, like not whatever. From what we gathered, like he just was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this." But I don't think that collective, I'll say this politely, collectively the band was not so into the humor, right? They're a pretty serious band, right? Like they're like
Yeah.
the music, right? And like it's a feel and everything. And I think Andy got some guff about doing that. I remember he was like, he was stressed. He was like, "Oh my God, they're gonna fire me," and I was like, no. We were like, "Oh my God," So we were like,
That's so funny,
"Yeah."
actually.
It was so. I mean, it was just like they obviously didn't or whatever, but it was like kind of like, "Don't do that again," kind of thing. And I
Yeah.
mean that with all due respect. Like every band's got their like temperament and like what they want to do or whatever. But the point of the story, I feel like, is this: there was this like seriousness to the band and whatnot, and the music, and the feel, and then getting to know somebody, even just for a few days, a week, or whatever. To have Andy's kind of personality kind of come through, just even for that like 15 seconds or something, uh, was was pretty amazing. Of course, we felt bad, and we're like, yeah, no, of course I don't do that again or whatever. But um, yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was pretty wild that he did that. It was funny, we were like, oh, I can't look at Andy, and then like he kind of cut some for it later. So
That's hilarious. I love that.
yeah, so
Wait, and so you guys played the Drew Barrymore, you were saying?
we also stories. I think sometimes when you get older, you just have stories. We were um Los Angeles. We had played Eric from Hole, the guitar player.
Oh wow.
Drew Barrymore was dating him at the time.
Okay.
I believe that they were there together. And so we had played, like, yeah, we were there. And Wyatt, big Drew Barrymore fan, of course, as Drew Barrymore,
Yeah.
and she was at the bar, this little bar outside the main room from Troubadour, if I
Hmm.
remember correctly. And she was there with like, I don't know, a friend or I don't know, somebody, whatever.
Yeah.
Not a, just kind of hanging out, manager, somebody, I don't know, whatever.
Mhm.
And it was like, I don't know, between bands or something. And it was pretty quiet. It wasn't like there wasn't a lot of people. And so I remember Wyatt really wanted to get a photo, right? We had like a disposable camera or something. And uh had asked her for a photo politely,
Uh-huh.
uh and she declined politely. She said, "I know that you want a photo with me, but do I want to have my photo taken?" And she declined, which is totally her choice. Of
I get
course,
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
of course, a bummer. You
yeah, it's
know,
awkward too. You're just like, okay, sorry.
yeah, you're like, I didn't mean to, but yeah, she didn't want her photo taken, which is totally cool. So anyway, so there's the story from that, but it was just kind of like, oh man, so. Uh, but it was like you have the story, so you don't always need proof for a photo or like whatever. But uh, yeah,
That's awesome.
at the time we're like, wow, I can't believe that. She should some random person coming up or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, fun over the I don't know how many shows, maybe I don't know over the years, 700. I don't know, like a lot of shows.
You guys played like 700 shows?
Yeah, now that I said it out loud, it seemed like a lot. So I
You
don't
may
know.
have gotten to 200 just in the interview covered tonight.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, I know I'm talking so much for
No,
that. Yeah.
that's good
So,
though.
No, it's
yeah.
awesome.
So, so
Um,
maybe yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we're just since we're on the topic of touring, I guess before we move on, do you have like any favorite tours that you have looking back? You're like, yeah, that's the one. That's like the one I'm always gonna think of about touring.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, that the Stereo Lab like was such a like a great, it was like easy, like fun, like not easy, I don't know, like it was just like so cool and like so, your eyes are different when you're younger when you look at things, and I don't know, like all the tours, like even when we went out just cold by ourselves, in '96, we went on tour with Imperial Team. They brought us out. And those guys are so sweet, and uh,
Hmm.
just bringing smaller bands along with them, and
Nice.
they, yeah, it was great to like, yeah, they were like once a week they'd give us like a little care package of
Whoa.
like money and like toys and like things from like a vending machine and like snacks and stuff like that. And so it was like, yeah,
That's
it was
sick.
cute. Like I felt like they were like our big brothers and sisters kind of. Um, and so yeah, it was nice to like I love like being main support for like a tour and stuff like that. It's like so cool. No pressure, you get to like I don't know, just kind of just fit in and not have to like worry about I don't know headlining or worry about playing to nobody or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
it seems yeah pretty easy. And then when you travel with your friends bands too, at least you have each other, right? When we do P or other bands we would go out with, at least you have each other. If no matter no one if no one's there, so um
At least
and
you have the homies there to watch your set, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, totally, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And watching a band, play, you know, whatever 40 out of 42 nights on a tour or something like the songs and stuff like yeah it's great it's such a yeah great way to get to know people for sure
Yeah.
and
Who was
I
the
think
band? Oh, sorry. I
no
was gonna
no
say,
uh,
what band did you play with that was on Teen Beat? You guys toured with a big like Teen Beat band, right? To
we
the south. I can't remember their name.
who is True Love Always we had played a
Oh
bunch of
yeah, it was
shows
them.
with
Yeah, they were
them.
on
Yeah,
Teen Beat.
those guys super sweet guys yeah for sure that was fun that was a fun little uh we did like a couple weeks with those guys so
Yeah, that's
super
awesome.
easy. Yeah, we did. There wasn't anybody, you know, that we toured. Everyone like super easy, no drama or anything. Really with bands that nothing too dramatic, no fist fights, no nothing. You know what I mean? Like nothing, no police, nothing crazy.
Yeah, but
Um,
it's still cool that you got to like play with all these like cool bands. I don't know, looking back as like just a music fan, it's like I feel like you guys were involved in such like a cool scene. Like Slumberland was like popping off at the time, like Teen Beat, like all these legendary labels, and you got to play with like all these bands that I feel like we and then like everybody just looks back on. So
yeah, I guess that's part of it too, right? It's like kind of looking back and be like, oh my God, and we
like we were
and
part of
honestly,
something, that like people think about still. It's pretty sick.
yeah, it's cool. But then at the time you're present and you're just like playing the show or whatever. And like
Yeah.
not to sound nonchalant about it, but it is,
Yeah,
um
for sure. It's how it goes.
value late years later, things can seem more valuable sometimes, right? And I think
Yeah.
is this time is precious, not to sound cheesy, but it is that kind of thing where like, yeah, we definitely for sure played a lot of shows, like a lot of different bands. Um, and yeah, still friends with like so many people, and it's great. And that's one of the reasons me trying to like start something new and to reconnect with people again.
Exactly.
Has been yeah great. Yeah, just so many. Yeah, I love playing like going on tour, even if it's like a couple weeks, or part of your tour with like another band, um, instead of just somebody random, other bands
Yeah.
every So
Cool. I was gonna ask, you just have like a couple like random questions here and there
sure, of
before we
course,
like
please.
wrap up and stuff. But I was gonna ask, did you guys survive off a Taco Bell? Because I know you had like a Trackstar Taco Bell shirt.
Ooh. Oh yeah, we have that. I love it. Sure, Taco Bell. There was yeah, we would always I guess try to find like regional stuff to try to eat. I feel like at least 10% of tour was trying to find out like eating like awesome food, regional food or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever like barbecue in the South or whatever, or like whatever like uh, yeah, that was always fun to try to find some like wild pull over like what is that place with all the picnic benches outside? Let's go there.
Yeah, like let's check that out.
Yeah, so a little bit of Taco Bell, but definitely wanting to whatever the far out or local. Uh,
I was also gonna say, so I guess like sort of wrapping up, when did you guys decide to throw in the towel and just be like, we're done?
yeah, throw in the towel. I don't know. Like if we there was never a really like stopping point. I think that we just you know Wyatt had moved to Sweden and was I don't know just our interests were just kind of waning a little bit for and you're a band for like a decade or whatever. It's a long time. And for me, I'll say this: I think that like writing songs, playing shows is like easy. Like you know,
Yeah.
I think staying connected and getting along and staying together. We've had like bands break up in front of us or in the like you see like tour will tour can be a lot. A lot of bands don't survive tour like on top of
Yeah,
it.
for
But I was
sure.
always felt so fortunate to be with people who are just so like easy to like get along with and whatever felt like we're always on the same page. Um, so as far as like I know you're just saying through call, but we didn't really stop. I mean, we put out that last record and then done that tour and then we I don't know played some shows and just kind of wound down
Yeah.
a little bit and then just was like okay this is probably where this is gonna go. That um, there wasn't any official like we need to stop playing, but it was just kind of like everyone was kind of just doing different stuff.
Yeah.
So there was nothing official like, oh, we should stop. You know. Um, and what's funny is I'll say this just as a recent thing. Somebody, and I say kid, I don't mean to sound, but somebody, we're all kids, right? I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody contacted me randomly. This is what I love, and they were like, "Hey, I recorded you guys in 2003," and I was like, "Well, where was it? Where did we play in 2003?" They're like they're like I can't find you on Wikipedia. No, I don't spend any like no one's updating, no one's spending time, updating our Wikipedia page. If we have, I don't know, I don't care. But they're like I can't. I think it was from Noise Pop. I can't, or whatever. So they gave me the date, and I was like, oh yeah, that was at Bimbo's. I told whatever. I got recorded. I was like, oh, I'd love to hear it. And live recordings can kind of go one way or the other. But I remember at that time, there were these recording devices that people were really into that they would bring to shows. And it had, at the time, a pretty high quality recording.
Yeah.
So, and it was the Noise Pop show that we had played with Steve Malcolmus and the Jicks. So we
Oh
played
wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
sick.
right at the and Velveteen also too. And so I was like, oh yeah, that show. That's when it's from. And they're like, yeah, I couldn't find it. I was like, oh, that would be the time. They're like, February 25th, 2003. I was like, that's the show. And anyway, I was like, yeah, like send me the recording. They had recorded a whole bunch of like for years. And I was like, do you have the recording from the Jigs too? I'd like to hear that. And like, yeah, so hopefully, yeah, they'll send that. So yeah,
Dude, you gotta
it's
post it.
fun.
That's sick.
Yeah, totally, or have them post it or whatever. So I do like getting that. And so there's a thing that happens, right? So 20 years later, this person decides to reach out and be like, hey, I recorded you
Yeah.
20 years ago. And so that's what I'm talking about, the energy and the connection that people are, I think, kind of coming out and being like, hey, I was like, yeah, do it now. Like, don't wait on anything. So
Yeah, that's
That's
really sick, actually. Yeah, that's cool. I know it must feel special too, like after all these years, like people reaching out and still like remembering your music and like sending you like, hey, I remembered you. I saw you like play and all this stuff. Like, yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, it feels good. I like to stay connected. I like to think of myself or us as being always very approachable, you know what I mean, to
Yeah.
talk to, whatever. And so I think that especially like on Instagram, like closes that gap between, right? Like you could message like a skateboarder that you're into or like a, comedian or whatever, right? You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
access to like, different people that you don't know that aren't friends or whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, I like that aspect a lot. And yeah, I always try to respond. I mean, you and I've chatted a whole bunch and stuff like that. So yeah, I always want to be that for people, like approachable and like, you know, in, yeah, be available if somebody, wants to hear stories or whatever. And it feels good too. I'm not, so uh,
Awesome, dude. Well, I guess do you have any advice for people like youngsters or anything, people that are in the scene now? I don't know, from being on tour like all through your 20s and stuff and being in like
I,
a
I
band and
see,
whatnot.
yeah, I see so many, not so many, but a lot of bands um, who are just, I think that, I don't know how to say this, that like, yeah, I don't know, just play shows, just get out there and make connections and stuff. I think that there's
Yeah.
part of a lot of you can exist online, right? You can exist digitally. You can exist on the social media, like on Instagram, and put music out and not have to tour. Not like, and that's also fine. That's a whole other aspect, have this
Yeah,
whole persona or whatever. Um, and uh, but I also think that, and again, I feel like post COVID, I feel like people are still kind of recovering, and really want that, like the amount of festivals that are happening. People are just, I feel like, I don't know, I go to more shows now than I have in like the last 10 years. You know what I mean? And like
that's
other
sick.
people,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome.
and yeah, I think just like be yourself, get out there, but like, yeah, don't, uh, just also too, don't be afraid to reach out, to somebody or message somebody, put yourself in a position to like, yeah, make a memory. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I think maybe people have a tendency to like hold back, maybe or wait for one moment. And I don't think that you have one moment. I think you have a lot of little moments. Does that
You
make
just got to
sense?
do it, you know?
Yeah, you gotta like, yeah, do it when you feel like it, So
Cool. Do you have anything in the pipeline for Trackstar, like any reissues? Are you planning anything? Or are you kind of just like posting like stories and stuff for the
yeah,
moment?
yeah. I just feel, yeah, we had that reissue come out, some years ago, and it's great, like it's such a great project, like I kind of wanted, do something like that again. And
Yeah.
yeah, there's some stuff out there, some recordings we're trying to figure out what to do with, or see if they're still salvageable or whatever for some on a 8-track tape and whatnot, not to tease, but um uh I'm just trying to be honest about stuff. I don't mean to like create any hype or
Yeah.
anything,
No, you're
but
good, dude.
um, one of the things I'll say too is that I feel like a lot of times, again, seeing, we'll take Nuzzle for example, right? Like a lot of times gone by, like those guys have had like big live, all kinds of life has happened, and
Yeah.
so to kind of like get all back together, right? Is that band and kind of like those songs and everything and kind of bring it really, it feels so good. It feels, again, inspiring, or other bands. And so it feels, you see other people doing it, or like, yeah, let's do that. Or like, it's okay to do it, or it feels good, And I feel like it's so motivating, um,
Yeah, for sure.
and being part of that and being everybody like, yeah, at a party, like if like what if somebody threw a party that was your favorite party 30 or 20, 30 or whatever it was, right? Would you
Mhm.
you would go to it,
Yeah.
right? You're like you're gonna feel the same way and it's gonna be cool or whatever. And it's not even living in the past, like you're in the present, but like you can still connect the two. You know what I mean? You can be like,
Yeah.
hey, look at us, like look at age, I'm 54, like trying to start a band at 54. Would have never thought. I'd tell somebody, shoot me. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, right? Younger, in my 20s, right? Smart ass, right? Just shoot me if I get that old. Yeah, who knows, right? So it's it's awesome. I think it's so powerful and awesome that people are so like, hey, let's practice, let's get back together and make it happen, Uh,
Yeah. Sick, dude. Well, I'm looking forward to the new band. I guess that kind of does it for all the questions we have and stuff. We have like, I guess, where can people keep up with all things Trackstar?
Probably Instagram is the best uh, place. Just posting some stories and photos from now and then. And yeah, if anyone has any questions or whatever, wants to reach out, I'm always available to chat, for sure there. But um, yeah, I appreciate, you know, your time and let me tell stories and all of that too, and trying to connect. And yeah, it feels good. Like I said, if not now, when, I don't think people should wait, like 5 years from now, who knows, right? 10 years from now, so
Yeah.
um, but if there are reunion shows 10 years from now too, like that's also awesome, so um but yeah, I'm planning on going to that Nuzzle show in December. It should be good, and I think
We'll
those
see you
guys are,
there. Yeah.
yeah,
That'll be
awesome.
sick.
Yeah, and those guys are, yeah, I think probably, sorry, Nuzzle, sorry for, but like planning some other shows probably in the new year as well too. So
Cool, dude. Well, we do have one more question here. We ask it to everybody on the show. Do you want me to ask it, Maddie?
Thomas, you got this one.
Okay. Um, all right. A rat is going to jump into your mouth. Do you want this rat to jump into your mouth head first or butt first, and why?
I'm gonna ask where does this question come from?
Comes from an old podcast, What a Time to Be Alive. It's a group of New York-based comedians, and I was listening to it. That's probably around 2018 to 19, and they would ask a few of the comedians they were bringing on that question. It was something that has stuck with the program since 2019 that we've done.
Sure,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay, yeah, no, I'm all yeah, fair. So my choices are
Mhm.
head first, and I imagine it's a rat, but I'm imagining that the arms are like sticking out, like they're flying into my mouth. So there's that.
And they're a little fearful about it, okay?
They're bummed.
They're in
Yeah.
Is
the
that,
They're also
position, but
like,
they're also a little scared and they're like,
oh,
sure.
that's a whole different. Yeah, they're not like yeah, like fine. What a dream. Um, Probably I would say logistically, but first the tail would get in the way. It would be like that's awkward, for from a logistical. So probably I wish there was a third option. But yeah, head first for sure, no doubt, head first.
make the third option. Let's hear it.
Third option is that they kind of like politely, like kind of, because it sounds like they're kind of aware what's
Yes.
happening. You know what I mean? That they're like they have like consciousness to them, right? So that maybe they politely kind of ease, maybe sideways,
Yeah.
Okay.
like like
Yeah.
getting into a pool, a cold pool, slowly, kind of that they want to ease. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that what, and then they just jump in and then stay in the mouth or stay out. Like what happens?
Whatever
Well,
you
thanks.
what you choose your destiny here.
Yeah, I guess head first, and then they would. Yeah, head first, arms out, head first, in, and I don't see them getting in. I feel like it's a pretty good sized rat, and they don't get in all the way. They can't get in all the way, and then
Too fat. Yeah.
yeah, and then they come out. So yeah, head first.
Awesome. That was sick.
That was a beautiful answer.
Yeah,
That
that
is
was a
that's
great
well
answer,
thought
Matthew.
out.
But
Thanks, dude.
You know,
please consider. I know sometimes it'd be like either or kind of, but yeah, the easing in kind of sideways. I'm at like a little rat hand, kind of almost touching your face, kind of trying to ease, like politely,
Yeah. It's a nice rat. Yeah.
being like neither one of us really want this, but
Exactly.
we have to
That's
do
it.
this. So.
Cool, dude. Well, there we have it. Thanks for tuning into TBD. Thanks for being on the show, Matthew. That was
Yeah,
sick.
no, appreciate you guys' time.
It's been
Great, thanks so much. Okay,
it's Matthew
peace.
Troy from Trackstar. Thanks again.
Okay, bye.